And welcome to another Creative Spin podcast. This is number 20, and this is why we have the team that's behind the scenes. Well, he's behind the scenes most of the time. I'm in front of the scenes, but welcome, Colin.
Thank you.
Your first Creative Spin podcast. You've recorded so many.
I know. It feels so different being on this side of the camera.
It's weird, right?
Yeah,
but now we don't have anybody
it will go fine
behind the camera,
and
we're crossing our fingers and hoping for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
So we decided to do this podcast today because, you know, it's been 20.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a little bit
It's
of a
been 20 already.
Crazily enough.
20,
Holy
right?
cow.
Time flies. So I thought, why don't we just sit down and talk about our experiences and what we've been doing for these 20 episodes now.
What we've been learning.
And learning a lot. And I think that would be a nice experience for our viewers or listeners out there to hear what our complaints are and but what our good stuff has been as well. So now we're just gonna hit the intro and be right back. Today's podcast is brought to you by Workplace One, a company offering boutique private offices, co-working spaces, virtual office solutions, and meeting rooms. Amazing spaces in the best neighborhoods in Toronto and Kitchener-Waterloo. Ideal for entrepreneurs, companies, and passionate business people. These spaces provide a stimulating environment to build, network, and drive business. With 5 different locations in Toronto and 1 in Kitchener, Workplace One is definitely where you want to be with your business. For more information, just jump over to their website at workplaceone.com. So we're back, and I'm kind of out of breath because I went to close the door. So, you know what? This is a perfect example of how things sometimes don't work the way we expect them to work. And we just started the recording and totally missed the door. The door was open. What do you guys think? How's this been?
It's been awesome. It's been a learning process, definitely for me. Well, for me, it's almost like a sort of like a bittersweet sort of deal because I missed my radio days. I'm back to doing this, but it's not the radio, but it's
better.
It is better. It is better because, well, you don't follow the same set of rules. You don't.
I think the rules are more flexible when it comes to podcasting. They're definitely more flexible.
You don't have the pressure of
the commitment.
In 10 seconds you gotta go into
but
this.
You can't hit the table,
I have
man.
to.
Like,
I'm passionate about it.
20 episodes in.
Such an amateur, such an amateur.
Well,
I don't know what's
excuse me.
going on.
I'm done. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Later. No, but it's been fun. I mean, from my perspective, I think, kind of same thing. Mm-hmm. I did a little bit of radio back in the day when I was, believe it or not, when I was young, Colin. I was also young once,
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time,
A long time ago.
I feel like I'm the old guy now. But, it kind of, it was always that little bug. I think once you start doing anything to do with like radio or audio, that little bug stays with you. And even though, I started the company and I went into a whole different experience, that bug was always in here, and it was interesting to kind of start doing this all over again. And I'm feeling now, even, after 20 episodes, I feel much more at ease, much more comfortable.
It's noticeable, definitely.
It is? Okay, good. But, this comes to prove you need to keep doing things in order to get better at them. Definitely. Period. There's no way around that. I mean, people sometimes think, oh, yeah, I've got everything down on paper. This is the way it's supposed to be. And then they go in. It doesn't happen that way. You really need to go out there and just forget.
That's one thing I've noticed, definitely, starting from the earlier conversations to the ones now. It's like, it is truly a conversation. Exactly speaking on what you're saying, going from more of that, like, we do the research, of course, before every podcast. We know about the guests. We know what they do. We know all about that. But now it's more of changing it from asking them to them telling you.
Yeah.
Like without even having to be like, okay, so now walk me through this, walk me through that. Like the podcast that we just did that you'll be watching next week. But it was exactly that the guests felt comfortable enough. And that leads me to the next point that we were talking about, how important it is to be comfortable with your guest before you even start recording. So for anyone that's looking at recording, it's all about sitting down for that coffee, going out for that lunch before.
And we started doing that lately with our guests, and it's been working like a charm because I don't think even the guests realize that is happening. But what we're doing is we'll have a coffee, we'll have a beer, whatever it is.
I'll take the coffee too.
You'll take the coffee. I'll take if it's Friday afternoon, I'll take the beer.
Yeah.
But the curious thing is really having those, and it doesn't need to be long, right? Like 5-10 minutes. But you create a conversation and you just start talking and asking questions, probably a lot of the questions that you're going to ask here, but you can do it in a more informal way. And because the guest doesn't have lights and cameras and mics, they're okay. Yeah. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
So once you have that conversation, it provides you the information, right? To when you're actually recording, you have extra little tidbits of information because because the guest might say, oh, you know what? My business went, I did this, but I don't really want to touch on that. Like there's certain things, people don't want to talk about.
Course,
and that's perfectly fine, right? So if you know that beforehand, it's going to be a much smoother, podcast because you're not going to get into these weird situations, right? Because beforehand that's going to happen.
Oftentimes you have a guest that comes to the studio that you need to interview that it might be about something you either don't know much about or you're not just interested in the area, which is an important area, but it's just not your personal interest. Where when you have something that interests you,
the conversation just goes a lot better. Yeah,
and it goes beyond that research because you've got that knowledge as well, right? Yeah. And that interest.
And that interest, right? Yeah. Because a lot of the times what I'm trying to do with our guests is I'm interested in their topic and I have questions that I want them to answer.
Yeah.
That
helps a lot.
It is being selfish, but it isn't. It's really, I'm trying to share that information for myself.
I think it's putting value on the podcast, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it adds a lot of value to what you're presenting.
Yeah, and this comes down to who do we choose to be on the podcast?
Yeah.
I think now we're getting to that point where there's that group of people that we want to interview because we find their subject interesting of whatever they do in life, and then there are other people that are contacting us. Paul was a good example. He contacted me. We've known each other for quite a few years, and contacted us online, and I said, I had never even thought about giving him, the opportunity to be on our podcast because I don't know, just didn't happen. But when he contacted me, I'm like, this is such an interesting topic. And you guys have to stay tuned for next week to listen to that one. But
we're teasing quite a bit.
I know, but it was a great conversation.
It was.
And that comes to proof. Sometimes, you got to go with the flow when it comes to that as well. And his topic, when he reached out, I'm like, you know what? This is very interesting. And I think it could bring benefit to our podcast and to the message that we're trying to put across.
The cool thing about Creative 7's YouTube channel is that our podcasts are different.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, we were at a barber shop. 2 weeks ago, we were at Toronto's biggest pizzeria.
Yeah.
Like a week ago, we were speaking with an artist. 2 weeks ago, a motivational speaker. And with every single one, we're diving in. Okay, so how are you doing your business? What are some things that you found difficult?
And my reasoning with that is I wanted to open up the doors to whoever is watching us and listening to us to kind of learn as much as they can from all of these different experiences. And it's funny because you can have your business that has nothing to do with motivational speaking or barbershop or any one of those examples that you brought up. But there might be that one question or that one answer from one of those entrepreneurs that you, on your end, you might go, you know what? I might actually be able to use that in my business, or I never thought about that. And why didn't you ever think about that? Because it's a completely different view on
and
business,
that's where the
right?
value lies.
And that's
yeah.
where the value is. And obviously being a creative company, Creative 7, we wanted to, always try to tie it around to creativeness. And one of the things that I believed in the beginning was there was a little bit of a misconception is that, it's going to be all about artists and about art and creative. No, when I say creative is how creative can you be with your business?
I guess that's what the spin comes.
Yeah, that's
comes in
exactly.
hand, right?
That's why when we were
And,
discussing the name, the spin came around and I kept saying it. Right, I kept saying, it needs to have like a creative spin to it, and it kind of like organic. Why don't we just call it creative spin?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly it. It's not just about art. It's not just about one thing in specific. It's about
everything.
It's about everything and how it all connects to being creative in business. Anna, I mean, you do a lot of the creative writing on the descriptions of our podcast.
I do know, and this is the
you do have
reason.
to listen to all of them, even the ones that you're not involved.
This is the reason why I say I quite enjoy them. Oftentimes I find myself, because when I'm trying to write, I have a tendency of going back because I missed something that I want to include, and I don't want to give too much away because I want people to actually, click on it. But I do I it, and I take public transportation a lot of times, and they are part of my podcast list, and I really enjoy listening to them.
Made it.
And
we've got 3 listeners.
I do have to say that I've learned. I've learned quite a bit, and I've grown with it. Some stuff that
for sure. I think all of us
and it kind of goes with your comment of you used to look at your videos and you're like, maybe it's not what I want to watch now.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. Like a lot of times you do things that you feel you're sort of stuck in that mentality because you've done it for so long. And without even noticing, you're following that path without really stepping aside.
Yeah, you play it safe, right?
And these
Exactly.
podcasts have taught me that, have taught me to, turn right, turn left. It's fine. You'll find your way.
Yeah, it's the whole going with the flow, right?
Yeah.
So I do see, and I do see a change. I do see them getting better. There's definitely that improvement there.
From a technical perspective, we haven't really done a lot since the first episode. Before we started our own podcast, we were helping out some of our clients with their own podcasts and their own videos. So a lot of the equipment we had that we were using for our clients is basically the same equipment we're using for ourselves. And from that perspective, I mean, you've been the one dealing with mostly with the equipment.
Yeah.
Our setup. What do you have to say to it?
I think that right now we have the perfect setup, whether it's mobile or not, and that's one of the things we talk about a lot. Is we're like a fully mobile podcast.
Yeah, and I think we
studio.
surprise people when we show up to a barbershop and we can just set it up,
and, Like one of the things that I'm really enjoying from the comment section is all you guys that are commenting like, whoa, the production, whoa, this. Like that's not us making it up. Like truly this setup that we have, that we can be anywhere. We can go to your business, we can set up, we can
it's literally 3 bags that we have and we can
we're
go
good.
anywhere.
And it's production values there.
Okay, so I will let Colin end this episode because he's good with this stuff.
Damn.
Like he
a lot of
goes
pressure,
up to the
though.
clients and he says, you should say, and wow, I'm impressed, Colin. Now it's
Go for it.
All right, well,
watch him.
Honestly, no, but it's been great. It's been a great adventure so far. I think that the first 20 episodes were awesome. We love all the feedback that we're getting in the comments, so make sure to subscribe, like, comment below. Let us know what you guys think, any topics that you guys enjoy. Hopefully you guys have been having as much fun as we are, and we'll be back next week for another one.
For sure.
And that's it. I'm retiring. Bye. He's got it. He's like, why am I here?
Clappy, clappy.
Clappy, clappy. Whoa.